I have turned on the record button. And we are now going to have the pledge allegiance, pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Gail, could you please conduct a roll call?
I can. Councilman Fideli?
Present.
Councilman Kay?
Here.
Supervisor Cannon?
Here.
Councilman Midwood?
Here.
And Councilwoman Morrison?
Here.
There's quorum.
Thank you. There is an addition to the agenda. We are going to be joined by John Penny from Dutchess County's Census Department to give us an update on where Dutchess County census efforts are, and I'm sure he will be able to advise us of how we are doing in the town of Northeast. And I see that he is just joining us at this point. Anyway, welcome everyone to our third virtual board meeting. Hopefully I will actually be in person if we can find a place to have it. The advice from the county executive in his conference call that I had today was that it is permissible for first of all, it is now permissible to have public meetings in person. Obviously, our challenge is the size of our boardroom. But Mark did say that as far as his interpretation of the New York State guidelines, it is acceptable to have the board and the clerk and then in addition to that, 10 other people for a board meeting at this time. So maybe if we can find another place to do it, we will be able to be in person in July. I'm going to try to mute everyone for now just to keep the background noise down. Anyway, just want to sort of bring you up to date on where we stand on a number of things, starting with town hall during this phase of the COVID-19 coronavirus. We are now in phase 2 of reopening and moving to phase 3 in 12 days. As you all know, restaurants are now open for outdoor dining, and a number of our restaurants in town and in the village have done so. In phase 3, there are a number of new things which will be permitted, including restaurants opening for indoor dining with certain protocols. But in addition to that, tattoo parlors and piercings will be available, massage therapy, spas, nail treatment, and so on. This is all the list that Molinaro shared with us today. So as you can see, there are a lot of things that are going to be opening up. DMV reopened today for in-person service. And in this phase 2 and following the guidance, which has been provided to us by Dutchess County and by the state of New York, I've been working to provide a safe and sanitary environment for town employees while continuing to provide service to taxpayers and residents of the town. As you know, we installed a Dutch door, as the board knows, I think, because most of you have seen it, a Dutch door on the clerk's office. We have also instituted nightly sanitizing of all public spaces in town hall. I've spoken with with Bob Stevens regarding sanitizing protocols at the highway department, and we have supplied the highway department with hand sanitizer, gloves, and face masks. And Bob knows that if there's anything in addition that he needs, we can get it for him. I had a meeting with department heads in town hall to review our protocols, and I've received some very helpful feedback and suggestions. Town hall is nominally open to the public. However, in the interest of having as few people entering town hall as possible, I am very agreeable to the idea of having a window slot installed off of the front porch where documents can be passed back and forth as needed. I actually already got started on that this morning by meeting with our town hall handyman, who has taken measurements and begun the process of constructing exactly that window slot for that window. And I also wanted to mention that, let me see where I am. I have been working on a mailer which could be sent out to all the residents of the town, because one of the things that we've come to realize is that while those of us who are on the internet or who do go to the town hall, to the town's website, are able to access information from the town or from the county or from the state, not everybody in our town has that ability. And there is a lot of information that could be very helpful to people in terms of where to go for coronavirus testing, where to go for help, whether it's health needs, whether it's food assistance, whether it's for social services or other things. So I've been working with Meg Winkler and with Christine Sargent of NECC for their input and help. And my goal is in the next few weeks to be able to get some kind of a mailer out to residents of the town with a great deal of information on where these services can be found. Some other things which came out of the conference call I had with Mark Monero today. Senior picnics are going to be held this summer. They will be curbside or drive-through pickup. And they are entertaining, the county will be entertaining bids from some of our local delis and so on to provide the food for these picnics. So we were encouraged to let our restaurants and delis in our towns know about the opportunity to bid on providing that. Mark also mentioned that there are going to be fireworks on the 4th of July in a number of locations around the county, which will basically be drive-through or drive-in fireworks. And while they have not identified exactly where it's going to be, there is going to be one on Route 22 somewhere. A couple of other things. In a previous meeting, I had mentioned that the county had advised us that they were going to be replacing a culvert on Smithfield Road, right down by Cooper Road and Silver Mountain Road, in between Cooper and Silver Mountain. And they have advised us that they're pushing that back to next year. So that is one, I think that's good news for people who were not looking forward to having to make a long detour. Yesterday, the planning board held a meeting, the first it's had in several months, as well as a hearing, all on Zoom. Dale liked the virtual meeting format so much that he scheduled another meeting for later this month. Lastly, on the highway garage, as you all know, we're moving along with construction of the sand salt building behind the storage building. I've received an update from the project engineer on our progress, and which I've had a chance to share with the board. An immense amount of dirt has been dug out. And the good news is the contractor has found many people who are eager to cart it all away. So that's what's happening with that. The foundations have been dug, and we are now in the phase where the concrete subcontractor is setting the forms for the concrete. Anyway, overall, the project is on schedule for completion in mid-September. We do not, going on to department and committee reports, we do not have, I did contact the mayor, Milton mayor, to ask if a police report would be available, and I have not received one yet. Okay, okay. Bob Stevens, I'm going to try to unmute you. If you could, let me see where you are here. Bob, I think you are unmuted. If you would make a report from the highway department.
Sure. We have some surplus equipment at the highway garage. We have a Stag zero-turn mower and 3 chainsaws. I was wondering if the board would like to declare the equipment surplus and authorize me to advertise the equipment for sale on Auctions International.
I think that would be great. These are items that you have secured replacements for. I think, hang on, George has a comment here, and I'm going to try and unmute George. Just bear with me here. It's a brave new world. George, hang on. You may have to unmute yourself. On the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's a little microphone icon. There you go.
No, actually, I was going to ask the same thing you were. I just wondered whether there were replacements that were already in process for those, the surplus equipment or not.
All of the equipment has been replaced and the new items are in use.
In that case, if there are any other questions, but if there aren't, could I have a motion to authorize Bob to secure the items which he just mentioned? I'm going to unmute everybody so that I can hear you.
So move.
Ralph, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Catherine Johnson, our assessor, do you have a report on your activities?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I just have a brief report on the goings-on of the assessor's office as we near the end of our calendar year, which runs July 1 to June 30th. Our last big event, we held Grievance Day, the Board of Assessment Review, rather, held Grievance Day on Wednesday, May 27th. The hearing was held remotely by Zoom without a hitch. It went very smoothly. And like Dale, the board was very pleased with it. Already asked me if they could do the same next year. I said, well, let's decide that next year. Appearing before the board were 2 property owners. They came on by Zoom remotely, also without a hitch. Additionally, there were 13 owners or their representatives that mailed in complaints for review, and 4 that settled with me by stipulation prior to Grievance Day. So that totaled 19 property owners filing a total of 25 complaints. It's about average. Was worried what would happen this year with everything going on, but that was really about an average number. The board is making their determinations, and the secretary will prepare and send out the results of their decisions to the complainants, hopefully by next week. And then the only other item is I wanted to let you know about some new changes to the Basic Star law. As you remember, a couple of years ago, the state basically started taking over function of the Basic Star and the Enhanced Star exemptions and moving them into a Basic Star credit rather than an exemption. This new phase of the law that they've added is where they will declare a property owner's eligible for the basic star exemption if they are more than a year delinquent on their property taxes. So I guess they felt if you're not paying your taxes, why should you get a rebate? Which makes sense. By delinquent of a year, they mean the clock starts from the date at which the taxes are originally due without interest. So I know we have a period of time where we can pay them with interest, but their clock will start there. So for instance, if county town taxes are due on January 31st, 2019, they would declare delinquent as of January 31st, such as the final installment date. So for school taxes, if the final installment was due March 31st, 2019, they became delinquent March 31st, 2020. So the tax collectors inform the county of the delinquencies, the county to the state, and the state will authorize me to remove exemptions when they determine ineligibility. The good news is on that front that enhanced star exemptions and credits were not included in this law. So seniors will not be, will continue to receive star benefits even if they become delinquent in their taxes. That's all I've got unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you very much. The board has received from our clerk reports from the dog control officer, from the planning department, the zoning and buildings departments, and you have all received those reports. On committee activity, we've had a request from the Conservation Advisory Committee for Mary Lynn Caligaris to give us an update on the pollinator garden, which hopefully everybody has seen, which is looking fantastic. So Mary Lynn, floor is yours. We're not hearing you.
Mute myself.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so as I said last time, we dug up the sod in an area that was 20 by 30. We removed the sod, which was quite difficult. We had a donation of compost that was laid, and I want to personally thank Lana Morrison, who called me, or not, emailed me right after I spoke last month and volunteered her services. And I also want to thank 80-something-year-old Ralph Fideli, who happened to drop by the day that Lana was turning over compost and soil, maybe one of the hardest jobs that there is. And we convinced him to help out. So he was there digging as well. So I want to thank you personally, the two of you. That just sort of did my heart good. So we're at the planting stage right now, and we have planted 5 shrubs and a bunch of perennials, native plants, pollinator friendly, and there'll be more. I have sitting in my driveway right now a vine and 5 other perennials. They'll be coming in slowly. And I contacted Climate Smart. Kathy Childs volunteered her services, so she'll be digging them in with me hopefully sometime soon. And I just want to ask that, ask the board to please consider some kind of donation from the board that we can use. And, you know, I would like the board to consider, I know these are hard times for everyone, but to consider some kind of donation for the pollinator garden in the form of a statue, a little statue for something. So please discuss this amongst yourselves, and let me know, Chris, what you come up with. I know you said you would be doing that with the board.
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, and it's exciting to see it take shape. And thank you for doing something which brings the work of the Conservation Advisory Committee right to for all of us to see. So
It's
it's
going to
very
be beautiful.
tangible. Great, thank you. The board has received audit reports for the tax receiver, town clerk, and the justice accounts. And they were all sent to members of the board. I would entertain a motion to accept the audit reports for the tax receiver, the town clerk, and the justice accounts.
So moved.
John Midwood, seconded by Lana Morrison. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a special guest who's not on the agenda, but we amended the agenda to provide an opportunity for us to be updated on the census, the 2020 census, which, as I think really everybody knows, is a vitally important thing to have happen for our town, for this county, for our state, because this is what forms the basis for so many things which are decided at the federal and state level. So we are being joined today by John Penny. John, thank you for taking the time to join us virtually. And we remember when you actually were able to join us in person and give us an introduction to this, but we look forward to hearing how things are going in Dutchess County and what we're doing or not doing in the town of Northeast that we could be doing.
Thank you so much for having me back, and it's great to see you again, even if we have to do it this way. I am John Penny, the chair of the Dutchess County Complete Count Committee, which has been charged by the county executive and the county planning department to raise awareness about the importance of people filling out the 2020 census. As you know, we've been at this for a while, a year, believe it or not. It's pretty remarkable. I have made it to every municipality, and we did a lot of other events and a lot of community events, and now I'm circling back as I believe I promised I would, and we're going to keep at it. The census has been open for months now, and regarding your town, I have some bad news and some good news, but the news overall is good, so I'll get there, and I want to explain that. But first, to reiterate the supervisor's point that the census is vitally important to your community. The final numbers will determine in large degree how much federal funding your community will get from various programs, from highway to housing. It's 132 programs are affected by it. Indeed, the coronavirus relief, what little there has been so far and whatever may come, will be based on your census figures. So I don't know how much more important we could, what other point we can make to drive this home. So what I want to do is kind of give you a snapshot of where we are. And like I said, there's some information that is going to seem a little alarming when I first say it, but once I walk you through it, I want you to know that you guys towns like you are going to end up being the heroes of Dutchess County, and I could pretty much game that out for you. Where we are right now is in fairly good shape. The national average, what we call the self-response rate, that's people filling out the census online, which they can do for the first time, and that's what the government is counting on, or over the phone or by mail. That's considered the self-response rate. The next portion to make 100%, or what the census considers 100%, would be field operators having to go to people's door, knock on their door, and get them to fill out the census that way, which we didn't want to have happen to begin with. And in light of coronavirus, we definitely don't want to have happen. So the self-response rate is going to be even more important, and that's going to be for two reasons. The census was having a hard enough time getting enough workers, and my hunch is some of the people that signed up are going to be reluctant to go out now, and people are going to be even more reluctant to open their doors. So that's kind of where we are. So I'm going to walk you through the numbers. Nationally, we're at 60% self-response rate. The state historically is always lower than that. It's at 56%. The good news is Dutchess County is doing better than it did in 2010. In 2010, we ended up in the bottom third of 62 counties at our self-response rate. We are now in the top third. So I'm very, very happy about that. And I think it really is a testament to the work of the committee that I've been working with that's really been pushing this. We are at 59.6, so we're about ready to go over to the 60% mark. In 2010, our self-response rate was 65.7. So once we get over 60%, we're going to be getting very close to that number. Here's where your town is going to come in and I think be the heroes, quite frankly. Right now, the town response is low. It's 38.7, so it's one of the lowest in the county. But there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is your town has a lot of PO boxes. So the town of Washington also has a low number because all of the village of Millbrook is on PO boxes. So what's happened is by now, packages were supposed to be dropped off to the physical addresses of people who have PO boxes. You might remember we had this discussion when I was there, and I said that the census will not give information to a PO box. It tracks by physical address. So right now, if without the coronavirus, my hunch is your numbers would be up because those packets would have been dropped off, and they're dropped off first to get people to go back what I was talking about, the self-response rate. They could do it themselves. And then the field workers were going to start getting out, where are we, in June? Pretty much around now and in July. So what's happened is all that's been delayed. So my timing here tonight is pretty good because the field operations have now started. They have a operations base in Pauling that serves all of our whole county. I wish I could tell you the specific week they're going to drop the packets off in your town, but they will not give me that information. I think because it's such a fluid situation for them. My understanding is they will most likely notify the police because they want to alert people about scams. So quite frankly, you might find out before I do. But it could be starting anytime now until the next 4 to 5, 6 weeks, say, where they're going to be doing that. So this would be a good time if you start seeing that and hearing that in your town that people are getting those delivered. It would be a good time to strike while the iron is hot, and reminding people what this is and why it's important. I've been sending out information every 2 weeks to every town supervisor and mayor that has information about the census. I can get anyone information if they want to put it in a newsletter, put it up on their social media, whatever you want to do, reach out to me and I could certainly help do that. The census is open at my2020census.gov. So the way they did this is they opened up the online first because that's how they wanted people to do it. Then they opened up the phone lines. And there's about 16 to 17 phone lines dedicated to different languages, so you don't have to press 2 for English. There's a dedicated line for Spanish, there's a dedicated line for English, there's a dedicated line for a number of languages. And I have that information, the supervisor should have that information, and I can, again, get it to you. So that's really kind of where we are now. If you are, and I hope you are advocating people fill out the census, just tell them it takes about 10 minutes to do it online. There's only 10 questions. It's pretty easy. It's totally confidential. I always say the census is a one-way street. It could ask information from other agencies to do a more accurate count, but it cannot provide any personal information to any agency, including immigration, prosecutors, or anyone. That information has to stay, personal information has to stay private. If someone is found in violation of that, they face a $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison. So that's really the update. We have a website, which is dutchessny.gov/census2020 that the committee provides a lot of information on. And that's it. I just hope that you can help me get the word out, and I'm definitely here to help you. I don't mind driving out there and dropping off flyers or anything else that you need me to do, so just let me know, and I'll take any questions.
Well, John, thank you very much. And this is something that I know that we've been talking about at the board level. It is a concern. We've been worried about that number of ours of 38.7 and wondering, we like to have high, we remember from school, we don't like to see a really low number. It was never a good day when you saw a 38. Anyway, I'm encouraged that there are reasons why we might have that. And we are trying to get the word out in various ways to encourage people to fill it out. And especially, as I was talking about earlier, by getting out some kind of a mailer to residents of the town, which might get to people who are not checking the town's website all the time or who are not on the internet on a regular basis. So I think
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. And I just want to reiterate, we're here for you. I'm not, we're going to follow this through. We're going to make sure that those packets got dropped off as the, phases move on and we can have more social contact. I certainly have no problem getting back out to the town. We are going to see this through. And, I'm confident we're going to end up in a good place, but we're going to just keep working at it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Does any other member of the board have a question for John or a comment? If not, we will look forward to being in close touch with you going forward. And I know we'll be calling on you for materials and for suggestions. I think I think I can speak for the board to say that we want to be, we'd like to be one of the leaders of the towns in terms of our, in the sense.
Yeah, what's
It's
happened
certainly
is the numbers were going up really well, but now they've started to trickle because most people who could be reached filled it out. So what I'm fully expecting, once they drop off the package to the people who have PO boxes, we're going to see I'm hoping for a nice little spike here, and it's going to be towns like yours that are going to give us that spike. That is, again, my full expectation of how this is going to work.
Great. Well,
John, when did you say the cutoff date is?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a little bit of a moving target, but believe it or not, it looks like the census is the census was supposed to wrap up in July, the end of July. That was going to be the last numbers. It looks like it's going to go to October.
Okay.
So the reason for that is we don't know when the census absolutely needs field workers to go out and finish the count. And so they're phasing their strategy in along with the phasing of the reopening. So right now they feel comfortable that census workers can drop off packets to homes because they're not having any physical contact with anyone. They're just dropping it off at a door. The next step is going to be hopefully libraries helping people that need help filling it out, census workers helping people that need to, that's going to be the last step. So naturally, that's going to be also the last step in our reopening. So it's going to be to some degree tied with that. And so the census has been pushing for an extended deadline, and their latest scenario has the census going all the way to October. So I'm really hopeful that we're going to be in a really good place by then.
Okay, thank you.
are there any other members of the board who have a comment or question? If not, John, thank you very much for taking the time to join us virtually, and you're welcome when we all can be back in person to come back out to Millerton.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, thank you. The next item, I've got Warren Raplansky, who's having difficulty logging on. So I'm just going to send him the meeting ID. So just bear with me for 1 second. We had trouble getting Warren the last time, and we seem to be having trouble again. One. Well, we'll see what happens. Oh, wait, there he is. He got through. Warren, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I did it on my cell phone. Seems to work on my cell.
Okay, great. I was just emailing you. We had to take a break while I emailed you the meeting ID and the password.
Yeah, this
the
seems
next-
to work. If you can hear me, I can see you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the renewal of the Benwood Knolls Trailer Park permit. We have received the application for renewal of the Benwood Knolls Trailer Park, and I need a motion to approve the renewal.
So moved.
Lana? Lana made the motion, and I think I heard John Midwood seconded the motion to approve the renewal of the Benwood Knolls Trailer Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. My voice is going, but bear with me. Item on our agenda is the appointment of a zoning review committee for the town of Northeast. This is something that I've been looking forward to getting to really since the beginning of the year, or at least since we finally made the final approvals of the comprehensive plan. For those of us who have followed the work of the comprehensive plan, you know that this is a very important follow-on to the comprehensive plan. It is one of the principal recommendations of the comprehensive plan that we go back and take a look at the zoning of the town. It was last done. I think it was in 1997 that the zoning law was last done. It may have been amended from time to time since then, but it has been a long time since it's been given a serious look. And as the town grows and evolves, and as patterns change, it's very important that we do this. It's something that I know the former supervisor, board member George Kay, has been wanting to see us get to, and it is something that as I've gone around town, people have asked about. So I'm very happy that we are finally able to get to it. We were just in the middle of all the coronavirus things while I was learning how to operate a Zoom meeting. We didn't get to it, but we are now. So well, I've asked Warren to prepare a resolution creating a zoning review committee. The resolution has been sent to members of the town board. And Warren, if you could just take maybe just take a minute to walk us through essentially what the resolution says, and then we can, I'll take any questions and comments from the town board.
Sure. Basically, I've briefly gone through the current status of the zoning law, which correct was adopted in 1997 and has been amended from time to time since that time. The town subdivision law was adopted in 1973, and that has also been amended from time to time. And as you stated, the town board in November of 2019 adopted an amended joint comprehensive plan in accordance with the requirements of Section 272A of the town law with the Village of Millerton. And for some time now, and certainly as long as I've been attorney to the town, we have had issues with both the zoning law and the subdivision regulations, in that they are outdated in many respects and are in need of a revision to make sure that they comply with the requirements of the New York State town law that pertain to the zoning laws and subdivision regulations. The 2019 comprehensive plan contains recommendations for amendments to the town's zoning law and subdivision law, as well as other town land use regulations. And 272A of the town law actually requires that the town's land use regulations, which include the zoning law and the subdivision regulations, be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So normally when you revise your comprehensive plan, you then undertake a revision of your zoning law under the best of circumstances. In the town's case, we really have needed this revision for a long time. So the resolution creates a zoning review committee. This is not a commission, it's an advisory committee to the town board. The committee will consist of no more than 9 members appointed by the town board. I have provided for
Warren, we lost you for a second.
I'm sorry, can you
We
hear me
lost
now?
you for a minute there. If you could just go back, the committee will consist.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me plug in my cell phone just to make sure I don't lose power. So give me a second. Okay. So the committee will consist of up to nine members. And I will be appointed for 3 years, 3 will be appointed for 2 years, and 3 will be appointed for 1 year. And they will, of course, serve at the pleasure of the town board. They can certainly be removed for cause if they do not fulfill their responsibilities of attending meetings and such. And the town board will designate a chairperson of the committee, advisory committee, and also may designate an alternate chairperson. And the committee will also be served by a professional land use planner, which will be retained by the town, and a land use attorney to assist in the creation of any zoning documents that are recommended by the committee, and to work with the committee in formulating their recommendations and reviewing the existing law. I provided that the committee shall submit a report to the town board at least on a quarterly basis, and may in its discretion report more often, and shall also provide reports to the town board when requested. This does not limit the scope of the committee's duties. The town board can assign other tasks that relate to this to the committee, and they will have to comply with the provisions of the open meetings law, which means that the meetings will have to be noticed and open to the public, so that the public can view what the committee's work as it progresses. And I think that's pretty much everything that I've included in here. And I just want to emphasize that this is an advisory committee. It's not a commission. It does not have the power to pass any local laws or amendments to the existing local law. It functions only in an advisory capacity to the town board. Ultimately, the town board is going to take the recommendations of the committee and hopefully will then prepare and adopt amendments to the land use regulations for the town in accordance with the requirements of the town code and the town law. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
If any members of the board have questions for Warren or just comments on the proposed zoning review committee, raise your hand. And Lana, I see you got your hand up.
I know a few months have gone by, but we had a public hearing earlier in the year. And that's going to be a main topic, I'm sure, for the zoning committee to go over. And I just want to ask that the committee keep in mind all the various comments that came up on both sides and keep it in. I'd like to see us come up with something that sort of pleases everybody. You know, we're talking about the sign, which kind of brought all this about. And I know our supervisor gave him permission to use the sign during the pandemic, and I received nothing but positive statements and comments about it. So I just wanted to add that, and hopefully you can come up with something and still stay within the guidelines of the comprehensive plan. It's
Lana,
important that it's important that the people know that we're at least listening to them.
Thank you. I just would make one comment about that, which is that this is something we would be doing as a sign outside the American Legion or not. This is a really, this is looking at the zoning for the entire town. It's a really big project and very important in terms of guiding and directing, you know, growth in the town and so on. So that will be the central focus of the committee. There will be many things that will come up, I'm sure.
Oh, I know. But that seems to be, that's been on the table since I started coming to meetings.
Yeah, but that's not why, I just want you to know that that is not why we're creating a zoning review committee. Anyone else? Looking.
Just to elaborate on that, I just, so there's no confusion, that will certainly be one of the issues that the zoning committee will be dealing with. But the scope and breadth of their work is much broader than that. It really is a large task. And it may be that the committee can periodically make recommendations to the town board for temporary fixes in the zoning law as they move through the process, because this could take quite some time.
Are there other members? John, you were on the comprehensive plan committee, so you have some familiarity with this. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Yes, the zoning, updating the zoning laws is a crucial part in successfully implementing the comprehensive plan. And I'm happy to see that we're being able to get this committee off the ground and moving, because it's very important to, the comprehensive plan. It's, it doesn't do any good if it's just sits on the counter, and we're here to implement it. And I'm happy that we're moving forward with the zoning review committee.
Okay. George, your experience goes back a little ways, and so any thoughts about the zoning review committee?
Well, I'd just like to say that the reason that we went through the comprehensive plan, made changes to it, took a year and a half in doing that. The entire purpose of that was to get us ready to do our tax codes over. We're now at that point where we can finally start moving ahead with it. And I think that this is probably one of the most important things that any town has to do. And I'm happy to see that we are moving forward with it.
Any other board comments? If not, Gail? What?
You
Gail,
can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Would you please read the resolution?
Certainly. Resolution creating a zoning review committee. Whereas the town zoning law, codified as Chapter 180 of the Town Code, was originally adopted by the town board in 1997 and has been amended from time to time since its adoption. And whereas the town's subdivision law, embodied in Chapter 150 of the Town Code, was adopted in 1973 and has been amended from time to time since its adoption. And whereas the town board, on or about November 23rd, 2019, adopted an amended joint comprehensive plan in accordance with the requirements of Section 272A of the town law with the Village of Millerton. And whereas the planning board and the zoning board of appeals, as well as the attorney to the town, have advised the town board that the town zoning and subdivision law are, in many respects, outdated or in need of revision to comply with the requirements of the New York State town law. And whereas the 2019 comprehensive plan contains recommendations for the amendments of the town zoning law and subdivision law, as well as other town land use regulations. And whereas Section 272A11 provides in relevant part that all town land use regulations must be in accordance with a comprehensive plan adopted by the town board pursuant to that section of the town law. And whereas the town board is desirous of creating a zoning review committee to review the zoning and subdivision laws for the town of Northeast and other land use laws and regulations of the town to make recommendations for amendments and/or revisions to the same. And whereas the town board has determined that the creation of this committee is a type 2 action under seeker, which does not require environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby establishes in and for the town of Northeast a zoning review committee to act in an advisory capacity to the town board to, among other things, review the land use regulations of the town of Northeast, including, but not limited to, the zoning law and subdivision law. And be it further resolved that the zoning review committee shall consist of no more than 9 members, all of whom shall be residents of the town of Northeast or Village of Millerton, with no less than 4 members being residents of the town of Northeast. And be it further resolved that at least 1 member shall be a member of the planning board and 1 member of the zoning board of appeals. Members of the committee shall be residents of or property owners within the town of Northeast, and except as provided herein, shall not hold any other position elected or appointed in the town of Northeast. The town board, in selecting members of the committee, shall try to reflect the different constituencies within the town of Northeast and Village of Millerton. And be it further resolved that the 3 members of the committee shall be appointed for a term of 3 years, 2 members for a term of 2 years, 3 members for a term of 1 year, with no limitation upon the reappointment of such members as their terms expire. And be it further resolved that the town board shall designate one of the members of the review committee to act as chair thereof, and another member to act as deputy chair. And be it further resolved that the meetings of the review committee shall be at such time and place scheduled by the chairperson. However, the meeting shall be subject to the provisions of the open meetings law. And be it further resolved that the town board shall select a professional planner with experience in preparation and revisions of land use regulations and an attorney with similar professional experience to assist the committee in its work, and shall provide a reasonable budget each year for the cost of operation of the committee. And be it further resolved that the committee shall submit a report to the town board of its activities on a quarterly basis each year, but may, in its discretion, provide reports and recommendations to the town board on a more frequent basis. and be it further resolved that the members of the committee shall serve at the pleasure of the town board and may be removed or replaced for misconduct, including but not limited to repeated failure to attend scheduled meetings of the committee.
Thank you, Gail. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution establishing a zoning review committee? George K.
I think you have somebody who wants to make a comment before you do
I'm
that.
sorry. Well, okay,
Edie.
yes. Edie, would you like to make a comment?
Just a question. Did I hear it correctly that a currently serving board member cannot be on this committee?
I believe you might have heard that, and I think that that would not be the intent of creating this at this time. Warren?
Oh, disappeared.
No, Warren?
We can take that out. I put that in because I've created these resolutions before, and that's what we did. But I fully understand that you may have members of various boards who have the requisite experience who would be valuable members of the board, and we don't want to limit those. So let me just take a look at the paragraph that says that. Hold on. So what we would do is then change the second result, if that's acceptable to the full town board, we would change the second, be it resolved on the second page to read, resolved that at least one member shall be a member of the planning board and one member of the zoning board of appeals. The members of the committee shall be residents of or property owners within the town of Northeast, and take out the rest of that sentence.
Okay, I think that makes sense, and I'm grateful to Edie Greenwood for spotting that.
Thank you.
It would have required us to probably have jumped through more hoops down the road. With that to the resolution, is there a motion to accept the resolution? Ralph, you move to approve the resolution. Is there a second? Lana? All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Opposed?
Aye.
I had an email from John Midwood that he lost his connection, but that he wished to be recorded as voting aye.
Zoning, they didn't approve it.
I don't know what's happened that he's lost his connection, but he lost it earlier in our Zoom meeting as well, and he was able to get back in.
Town board isn't in there. So
The motion
I
is
can't be on.
approved. Getting the next step is to fill the committee, and I am really grateful that that a number of members of this community have volunteered to serve on. In 1 second. Okay, hang on 1 second. That we want just to, I just want to go back and look at the amendment that we made to that. I want to make sure that we were removing the prohibition on elected or appointed officials in the town of Northeast. Is that correct, Warren?
Yes.
Because that obviously it earlier in that section does state that one member should be a member of the planning board and that one should be a member of the zoning board of appeals.
Right, but when I originally drafted, I said, except as provided herein, so except for those two provisions, but we're going to eliminate it entirely because I understand that there may not be a need to have that prohibition. It probably would be a good idea to have members of the of various boards sit on the committee.
That was certainly the intent.
Right.
And, sorry, Warren, did I cut you off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, I recommend that the town board periodically appoint a liaison to the committee. Probably a good idea for that liaison to meet, not necessarily at every meeting, but periodically with the committee. So he or she can report back to the board on what's happening in addition to the reports of the committee.
Thank you. Well, actually, how germane that you should suggest that. Anyway, as I was previously saying, that I've been very grateful that that a number of members of this community have indicated their interest and willingness to serve on this committee. I know it's going to be a lot of work, and it is really heartening when people raise their hand and indicate that they're willing, excuse me, willing to roll up their sleeves and do this. This is not glamorous work. This is a lot of detail work, and I am therefore very grateful that Edie Greenwood has agreed to serve as chair of the committee. This is what happens when you do a really good job with another project, is the shoulder to continue going. So Edie, I don't know whether you were thinking of playing a lot of golf or what you were going to be doing, but I am very grateful that you have agreed to serve as the committee's chair. In addition to Edie, the following individuals have expressed their interest or willingness to serve on the committee. Dale Culver, Ed Downey, George Kay, which is why it's so important that it be possible to be on the board and on the committee. Bill Kish, Julie Schroeder, Dave Sherman, and Betsy Trotta. That is 8 members. There is somebody who is thinking about it at the moment, but I would like to have a resolution appointing those 8 members as members of the Zoning Review Committee. And Warren has prepared a resolution to that effect. But before I get there, are there any members of the board who have any comments about the proposed committee? If not, Gail, could you please read the resolution of the appointing members of the Zoning Review Committee?
Resolution appointing members of the Zoning Review Committee. Whereas the town board has, by resolution dated June 11th, 2020, created a zoning review committee consisting of no more than 9 members, and whereas the town board has solicited interest in qualified persons desiring to serve on said committee, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby appoints the following members to the zoning review committee for the following terms: Edith Greenwood as chairperson, term 3 years; Dale Culver, term 2 years; Ed Downey, term 1 year; George Kay, term 3 years; Bill Kish, term 2 years; Julie Schroeder, term 1 year; Dave Sherman, term 3 years; Betsy Trotta, term of 2 years.
Would a member of the board like to make a motion to accept the resolution appointing members of the Zoning Review Committee? Lana Morrison
So
made the
moved.
motion. Is there, hold on. John Midwood is just coming back here. John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we approved the motion to establish the zoning review committee. I did see your note to me,
Okay.
and that you expressed a desire to vote aye on that resolution. So
Yes.
we have done that. We're now on the second resolution, which is appointing the members of the committee.
Okay.
And Lana Morrison had just made that motion to accept that resolution. So you are in time to either second that resolution or for somebody else to.
So
Can I make just one comment before we do that? Since my name is included in that list of names, I believe I should recuse myself from this vote.
So noted. Gail, will you note that George will have recused himself from this vote?
It is noted.
Do I hear a second to this motion?
I second the motion.
John Midwood second the motion. Noting the refusal of George Kay, does the rest of the board vote aye?
Aye.
Any noes? That motion is carried. Could we have a roll call vote on this resolution, please, Gail?
Supervisor Cannon,
Aye.
Councilman Fideli,
Ralph?
Aye.
Councilman Kay,
Recuse.
Councilman Midwood,
Aye.
Councilwoman Morrison.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for bearing with us on that. The next item is to approve a bid for the workers' comprehensive insurance for the town of Northeast, starting July 1. The town has received 2 bids for workers' comp coverage. We received a quote from the Comp Alliance of $27,182. And we received a quote from the State Insurance Fund for $33,360, but with a projected dividend of $10,224, with a projected net cost of $27,023. I have discussed these bids with our insurance agent, Paul Zerbato. My take on this was that even though the state insurance fund bid was, if you accepted the projected dividend, and of course there's no guarantee of that dividend, but if you accepted it, we still would not be receiving it. There's 18 months before the town would receive the dividend. And from my perspective, given the pressures which are going to be on our budget going forward as a result of what's going on with coronavirus, I think it's not prudent to have to wait 18 months for a dividend which may be at that level or may not. So that my recommendation to the board is to for us to accept the bid from the Comp Alliance of $27,182. Is there a motion to accept that bid?
I made the motion.
Ralph?
Second.
Ralph. And George K. seconded that. All in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? The motion is carried. Okay. We have 2 sets of minutes which have been prepared by the clerk. We have, which have been distributed to the board. We have minutes from the town board meeting of July 12th, 2018. And is there a motion to, are there any comments on those motions, on those minutes? Or could I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 12th, 2018?
So move.
George K. moves to approve. Is there a second? Lana? Seconded by Lana. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we've lost, have we lost John Midwood? I'm thinking, it feels like we've lost John. He's having a hard time. I will keep my eye on the waiting room and see whether he appears. We have another set of minutes of the town board meeting, our last town board meeting of May 14th, 2020. Any comments on those minutes, or if not, could I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Ralph made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Lana Morrison. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. I don't know what's happened to John. He's clearly having technical problems. Has received the operating statement for the month ending May 31, 2020. I have one budget adjustment, which is an expense increase of $500 and an expense decrease of $500 with a net of zero. Okay, motion to approve the budget adjustment.
So moved.
Motion by Ralph,
Second.
seconded by George. Okay. I have a special abstract dated May 27th, 2020, totaling $379.69, broken down as follows. A fund, $379.69. Could I have a motion to approve the special abstract?
So moved.
Lana? Second by
Second.
George. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. I have a special abstract dated June 1, 2020, totaling $29,630, broken down as follows. Water District SW1, $29,630. Could I have a motion to approve the special abstract? Ralph made the motion. Second,
Second.
second by Lana. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I have an abstract dated June 11th, 2020, totaling, well, for A fund, an amount of $38,257.02. For B fund, $221.18. DB fund, $22,492.68. Capital projects H1, $72,000. $1,291.98. Payroll TNA, $104.14. Could I have a motion to approve the abstract?
So moved.
Moved by, motion by George K. Is there a second?
Second.
Ralph Fideli, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Voucher committee for July is Ralph Fideli and George K. That brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is our public comment session. I just want to note that at the last meeting, when I did have public comment session on the agenda, I inadvertently managed to skip over it or end it prematurely, which I'm apologizing for anybody who wanted to speak, but we are now in public comment session. So anyone who has a comment would please raise their hand and we'll go forward. Meg Winkler. We can't hear you yet.
Hi. I had a question regarding all the committees in the town that are on the website. I was just wondering one thing. Do we have a plan for, in conjunction with the zoning advisory committee, to have like a economic vitality committee or someone who would look in a visionary manner to maybe do outreach to businesses, just like a Chamber of Commerce does in certain villages or towns in other states?
Meg, just to clarify, the public comment session is actually an opportunity for the public to make it. But I'm happy to. There were a number of committees recommended in the comprehensive plan. There's an economic development committee and there's a housing committee. There is a sort of a next steps committee. There are a number of committees. Those we're still just getting underway, and unfortunately it's just been a very difficult time to start putting all those committees together. But that's, yes, there will be a number of other committees formed in the wake of the comprehensive plan. Do I have other comments? Mr. Regan?
Hi, thank you. I guess in the spirit of the moment, I'm just wondering if the town, well, I guess I would say that as
Sorry,
citizens.
Chris, I couldn't hear anything.
What?
Can you hear me?
Meg, you didn't hear my response to you?
Meg? Well, I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, why don't you go ahead?
I just think it's important that we, as citizens and as the town, I guess, make sure that our police force, which I don't know of any reason to doubt they aren't doing a great job, but I think it's important that as citizens, we make sure that there's the correct oversight in place. And as far as I've heard, that's at the moment being left up totally to the village. And I think the town citizens are both benefiting from police services and paying for police services that maybe the town board ought to have some role in, at least some avenue of oversight over the police. The current police force may be doing a great job. We don't know if in 10 years that's going to be true. I just think it's important at this moment in time that we make sure that as a country, we're doing a good job of maintaining proper policing.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I think that's Joan has her hand up. Let's hope your microphone works.
Okay, thank you. just to follow up on what Chris said, I'm interested in knowing, adding to my knowledge of policing in the town and in the village, which is almost zero. It's in the light of what's going on now, but I don't mean it to be a critique of any current situation. I'll just think that it would be helpful to citizenship, to being a good citizenship, to know things like what kind of training police go through, how recruitment is conducted, how the state police and the village police interact, what the jurisdiction is of each of those, that kind of a detail. I would like to know, and I don't know if it's possible for representatives of the forces to come and discuss that kind of thing. Thank you.
Mary Lynn? Oh, we're not hearing you.
Chris, you know, I've always been interested in communication and transparency, and I'm wondering if, I actually wonder if someone, I'd like to hear from the members of the town board, the council people, about their committee work. I'm wondering if we could have a resolution, perhaps even now, the meeting isn't over, to have one or two members, you know, not speak. I know your meetings are very long and there's a lot that you have to cover, but to speak for a couple of minutes on what their work is. So there are 12 committees on the town board, and we don't know what, you know, what the committee's supposed to do or what the committee is doing. And I think it would be good for the town to know what is going on a regular basis. I think that we should monthly have a couple people speak to that. And I'm wondering if anybody would like to make a resolution to that right now, so that we can maybe next month hear from a couple of the board members for a minute or two, just as I was given. So what do you think, Chris? You know, would that be something we could resolve tonight?
We do get actually committee reports in ways, sometimes they're not as a committee report. The report I gave on the highway garage was a report of the highway committee.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about.
But some of the committees, and just, excuse me, but some of the committees, especially during the past few months, have not, you know, we have a safety committee that has not been, you know, that there is nothing that has come before that committee. We can certainly provide an opportunity going forward. It doesn't take a resolution to give each of the committees an opportunity, if they have something they'd like to share, to do so.
I'm not clear. So you're saying the committees don't work during this period of the COVID? They're not working on their committee work? Is that what's?
No, what I was trying to say is, first of all, it has been more difficult to work during this time. I'm not saying that they have not been doing, there are many committees that have been working, but it would be easy enough to provide an opportunity if they wish to make a report during the board meeting. It doesn't take a resolution to do that. We will provide that. I'll be happy to provide that.
Okay. Hopefully one of you guys will present next month. Lana or Ralph, or, you know, anybody could present. It would be nice to have a resolution so that we can be assured, the town, the people of the town can be assured that we are going to have, you know, reports on what the town is doing. Thank you.
Bill Kish?
Hi, thanks. So
I don't have anything new to say, but I will follow up on what Mary Lynn and Chris said. With respect to what Mary Lynn said, I definitely understand that from the standpoint of the boards needing to conduct business, that you know, you have these meetings, they're long and tedious, and you know, you have all this information in front of you, so it may seem somewhat annoying to have people asking for presentations when you know what's going on. But a lot of us come to the meetings just really so we can understand what's going on in our town, and not having access to that information for us is somewhat disappointing. I feel like if we should if we should sit through the abstract, we should get something along the lines of a little more information on what's going on behind the scenes. So that's to Mary Lynn's point. To Chris's point, I've asked this question before, and the question is basically, what oversight does the town have on the police department? Because the police department needs to be responsive to its community. And the answer that I always get is more or less in the line of village, you know, has supervisory responsibility for the police department. We do get reports from the police on a regular basis at these meetings. I've been to many meetings, but the information that's provided is really not useful, I will say. To say that, you know, to report that this year we had 3 arrests in the village and 5 arrests in the town, and last year it was, you know, 4 and 8, doesn't tell us anything about the state of our community with respect to policing. And it seems to me that the town, as an entity that's paying for policing, and I know that we're not paying the lion's share of it, but we are paying for it, should have some sort of citizen advisory board or review board that that has some say in the policies of our police department, and reviews incidents to make sure that our police are following the policies that we've laid out, and that's all very opaque right now. So that's something that I hope that the board will take on as you renew your contract or our contract with the village for police services.
Thank you, Bill. It goes without saying, this is, well, maybe it doesn't go without saying, but it's certainly something that's been on my mind in the past couple of weeks. We live in a very different kind of, you know, small rural community, but we certainly want everybody in our community to feel a sense of trust in, you know, I would like for members of the community to feel a sense of trust in town government, and hopefully for those who are in the village, in village government, and that all of the entities of town and village, you know, including the police department, would reflect that. I have had conversations with the mayor because I am interested in finding out what training the police do receive, and particularly in light of anything that's going on in things like de-escalation and so on. We, as you know, we have not had the police reports. I would actually share with you a little bit on the police reports. They indicate what the traffic stop was for. They don't just indicate that there were X number of events. They do actually now, and this is a big step forward from a few years ago, tell us what the stop was for. And I think that's useful information. It is more detailed information. If there's, excuse me, if there's more detail we can get from them, I would be happy to ask for it. So, but I hear what you're saying, and I will be sharing your comments and those of Chris and Mary Lynn with the mayor. Any other comments? I don't want to end this prematurely. But Andrew,
Can everybody hear me? I just wanted to add to this. When last Friday, when there was the Black Lives Matter demonstration in the village, I was told that the police were standing in a group at the village town hall, kind of waiting in case something happened, instead of being a part of the community and letting everybody know that they agreed with Black Lives Matter, instead of separating themselves and waiting to take off in a car in case something happened. So I just think it was a lost opportunity for the police department to interact with the community.
okay. Any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yes. Josh Schultz.
Hello, everyone. For those not familiar with me, my name is Joshua Schultz. I'm a freshman trustee with the Village of Millerton. I just wanted to let you know that we have heard what you had to say tonight. This is something that we've been working on for the last week or two. Please tune into the Village's meeting next Monday. Details can be found on either their Facebook page or on the website, where we'll be addressing some of your concerns and providing some more background information. That's going to be provided by Officer in Charge Michael Vieter. So I hope to see you there. Please come. Please bring your questions. We want to hear what you have to say. I've heard what you've had to say tonight, and I will be relaying that as well to the mayor, as I'm sure Chris will be doing. So thank you.
Josh, the village meeting, I couldn't quite hear you regarding when that meeting is taking place.
That meeting is at 6 p.m. and it's going to be broadcast on Facebook Live. Details for that are now included on the Village of Millerton Facebook page, but also on our website, villageofmillerton.net.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we were still trying to get a motion to adjourn. I think I saw
Chris,
Lana.
before we adjourn, I just wanted to take a moment to thank Gail for doing the minutes back as far as she did. We appreciate that. So thank you.
I second those things. Very precise minutes. I don't believe we've had any corrections that have been needed after 5 months. So it's a good job. Is there, Lana, were you making a motion to adjourn?
I will now. I so moved.
Is there a second?
Right here.
Ralph, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all for with us with our hopefully improving technical capacities. Well, we're getting there. I did have I had a message from John Midwood that he has internet problems at his house, so which explains why he's wasn't able to get back. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Chris?
Good night.